Hi, I'm Janet. I'm at Retzer Nature Center, and we're going to check out what's buzzing around these flowers and explore the power of pollination. We're going to investigate the relationship between flowering plants and the animals that pollinate them. We're going to learn what pollination is, why it's so important, and we're going to see some pollinators in action. So, insects and animals that transfer pollen from flower to flower are called pollinators. Nearly 80% of plants on Earth need help from a pollinator. The remaining 20% need wind or water to create seeds. Plants can be kind of tricky though. They oftentimes trick pollinators into moving their pollen by rewarding pollinators with sweet, delicious nectar. Many pollinators don't in fact even eat and use the pollen like butterflies, hummingbirds, or beetles. They're just kind of doing it by accident. Bees do collect pollen and nectar from flowers to eat or feed to their young, which makes them the most efficient pollinators. The goal of pollination is creating offspring for the next generation, and it's not exclusive to just animals. Plants share this goal. Their next generation begins by making seeds. Those seeds contain the genetic information to produce those new plants. Flowers are the way that plants begin creating seeds, and most flowers require pollination. So pollination is that act of transferring pollen from grains from the male portion of the plant, the anther, to the female portion of the plant. And once that pollen is transferred, the flowers fertilize and the seeds begin to grow in that female portion. Depending on the flower, pollination is either driven by wind, water, insects, or animals that visit the flowers.
Hi everyone, my name is Jackie and I'm here at Retzer Nature Center, and I want you to think about the foods that you like to eat. Chances are you could thank a pollinator for some of those foods, from apples to tomatoes to even pumpkins, almonds, chocolate, and coffee. Pollinators are an important part of helping these fruits and seeds to grow. About 1/3 of the food humans consume need animal and insect pollination. 75% of the world's major food crops need pollinators. Remember that strawberry and chocolate you like to eat? In Wisconsin, many of our plants rely on bumblebees, hummingbirds, beetles, butterflies, moths, flies, and wasps to pollinate. Our plants and crops sometimes also rely on honeybees, but honeybees are relatively new to the game in Wisconsin, being brought to North America by European settlers in 1622. Our native pollinators have been in Wisconsin much longer, co-evolving with plants to benefit both the pollinator and the plant, as you can tell from my lovely bee poster right here. So, not to scare anyone, these bees are not to size. They're size relative to each other. However, you're not going to see a bee coming up to you that's about the size of your hand, so no worries. However, these are all of the bees that you can find in North America, even in your backyard. From our bumblebees to miner bees to carpenter bees, there are lots of different bees that you can see in your own backyard.
This bumblebee is exhibiting buzz pollination. He uses all of his wing muscles to shake his body to get the pollen off of the flower. Without this process, these flowers would not be able to reproduce.
You can tell a lot from a flower's shape, color, or odor as to what pollinator may be best suited to pollinate it. For example, long tubular flowers can be pollinated by hummingbirds' long beaks, while flat, wide flowers provide a great landing pad for butterflies to sip nectar. And a great flower our hummingbirds love here at Retzer is our hot lips plant.
Okay, so you may be asking yourself at this point, well, what do I do? How can I help pollinators? How can I see more pollinators in my yard? There's definitely something you can do. You need to extend your bloom time. As early in the spring as possible, you should see blooms, and as late in the fall, like these beautiful New England asters. You also need to be paying attention to plants that support the caterpillars, the larvae, and they're very different, but depending on the butterflies, you need to do that as well. Maybe also when it comes fall, maybe not clean everything up, because a lot of pollinators will overwinter in the stems of some of these plants. So maybe don't be so clean and tidy in your garden at the end of the year. Let some of it go until springtime. Then the big one is avoid a lot of pesticides in your garden and in your lawn, because even though you might be killing things you don't want, you're going to kill the things that you do want. So be paying attention to that.